Patrick Marleau has manifested a career where he's going to pass Gordie Howe for the most NHL games played ever tonight. Just an unreal accomplishment. I mean, Gordie Howe is one of those guys who his records just don't get broken unless Gretzky breaks them. Patrick Marleau has appeared in at least one game with 37% of every NHL player who has ever played. That's 3,009 out of 8,100. Think of that. 37% of guys ever played in the NHL, he played in a game involving them. I mean, we tip our hats on what was great, Biz. We had a couple scenes. His last game versus the Kings, a lot of the Kings veterans went out of their way to acknowledge him. And Marleau, he's such a humble guy. He seemed like taken aback, like stunned that they come over to give him props. He kind of was like, looked a little surprised. It was just such a tender sportsmanship moment. Of course, the Wild did the same thing with the whole team after. Whit, I know you've mentioned a couple of times. I know you want to talk about it. Go ahead.
I think that it's an amazing night to be watching this and thinking, I don't think this will ever be broken. And I know there's always recency bias, but you talk about records that'll never be broken. I don't know. Like, I know kids are playing at a younger age, but the league, it gets young and it's staying young. And when you get older, it's going to be very difficult for a high percentage of guys to play after they're 34, 35 years old. This guy has missed 32 games in 23 seasons. I repeat, 32 games in 23 seasons. This guy played his first NHL game, and there was 170 NHL players currently who hadn't even been born. It is like wild to look at the Hockey DB, whatever website you go on, to check out a career. And for somebody who's been so quiet and so like humble throughout this entire ride, it's pretty fitting that he's the guy to do this, right? To just show up to work. And let me tell you something. The experiences I've had with guys from Canada, as an American, I'm sure other Americans would agree, you can tell a guy from kind of their province. Like, there is a total vibe of what guys are like personality-wise, depending on where they're from in Canada. And guys from Saskatchewan are some of the most down-to-earth, show up, do their work, never bitch, never complain, low-maintenance type people. And you got Biz in Ontario fucking trying to go to the club and dropping names and the Toronto Metro Hockey League. But Saskatchewan has down-to-earth good people. And not only is Patrick Marleau from there, but the man who he's breaking the record, Mr. Hockey, is 200 miles away, born and raised. So shout out to that province and that career that Patrick Marleau's put together. And for what he's done and to not win a Stanley Cup, right, that's hard. No doubt for the rest of his life. It'll be on his mind occasionally. You just can't get away from that. But he gets to realize and understand that he's broken a record that, as a former player, I look at and absolutely shake my head. I'm so amazed at it. 1,000 games is the most ridiculous career. He's 758 above it.
Yeah, I marvel at the fact that he's only missed 32. And mind you, so we're talking on Monday here. On Wednesday, he's actually going to hit 900 consecutive games in a row. And, you know, that's another thing that hasn't been accomplished much. I think, 2 other guys or 3 other guys have done that in the history of hockey?
Yeah, but his most consecutive seasons playing every game, 11 times in a row. He didn't miss a game. And Gordie Howe did that 5 times.
And that just goes to show the longevity. And Todd McClellan touched on that. I think he coached him for 7 years in San Jose, but just like the ultimate professional, not just preparing his body, but his mind. You know, he was big on the mental strength and you know, doing what it took in order to be ready to go. He also mentioned another story of even a time that his wife had given birth to one of their kids. He took a private plane and met the guys in Nashville, ended up playing 23 minutes that night. I think they lost the game 3-2, but just like things like that, where there would be no expectation for the guy to fly cross country on a day that one of his children were born, but he takes the PJ, gets there, and ends up playing. And obviously some unbelievable records too. He holds 8 individual records with the Sharks, the most impressive probably being game-winning goals. He's got 101 game-winning goals for the San Jose Sharks. He scored 522 goals with them. So just almost 20% of his goals have came as game winners. 17 shorthanded goals. I know we touched on the shorties earlier, RA. 163 power play goals. So those were the most notable of the 8 individual records that he holds. And you mentioned Howe too. Marleau, 23 seasons. Howe, 26 seasons. Howe, 21 All-Star games, 4 cups, 6 Hart trophies, 6 Art Rosses. So he is in pretty good company. And also we always talk about, has Marleau done enough individually maybe to reach the Hockey Hall of Fame? I think there's no doubt, of course, because of the games played. Also helped Canada win gold medals in the 2010 and 2014 Olympics. And listen, hey, San Jose is a couple points out of a playoff spot too. Who knows? Maybe they go on this crazy run and he ends up getting his cup. But that's of course one that he doesn't deserve to miss out on. But unfortunately, he fell up short.
I need to shout out Gordie Howe as well, because it would be unfair if you didn't include all of his WHA games, which got him over 2,100 career professional games.
Jesus.
So the NHL is one thing, but that just shows he was around even longer.
Yeah, and our race. I want to touch on the Saskatchewan comment. It had it wrote down. He's from Anroyd, which is 50 people, and he grew up on a 1,600 square foot or 1,600 acre property with his siblings. So he's a farm boy through and through, bringing the work boots every day, and what an unbelievable career.